and then they can at least take that into the losers final a bit later on today. 100 Thieves are 1-0 up against Luminosity Gaming. That is certainly a game that XSET can win if they want. So right now, I don't expect them to take Ascent, to be brutally honest, but this is a great opportunity to throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks, see if they can cause a bit of an upset, and just see what works at this point for the rest of this tournament.
Well, we are ready to jump into Ascent. Guys, take it away.
Well, I'm looking forward to this one. I think this is probably going to be more of Cloud9 basically just flexing, but realistically, I'm hoping that XSET put some hours in. This was a map where they faced off against Gen G. They got absolutely slaughtered, and the problem was they actually, again, I think they started on the defense. So if you're getting battered and you're starting defense, that's definitely a problem. If they allow Cloud9 too much space to control this match and set the pace, it will happen again.
One thing that we failed to mention is XSET changed up their roster in a very envy way. AYRIN, that was playing the Raze before, is on the Killjoy. And thwifo, that was on the Cypher, is actually going to be playing a different agent altogether. It's a big change, and it really hasn't looked as good for XSET as, say, as it has for Envy, where they move Mummy or Food onto the Omen. It's a bit of a weird thing that teams do that I'm personally not a fan of. Every game that XSET tried this, it hasn't really looked good at them. Those players haven't had the performances that they were hoping for. Cloud9 pretty much running what they used to run in. TenZ is back on the Jett.
30 seconds
and
left.
This is typically what they used to, as they're attacking and trying to do some damage on two different sites at this point.
Yeah, it's not going very well either. Pure Oz just stepped up with 3 crisp one-taps, and while Relyks finds a kill on the other side, in fact, finds 2 kills on the other side. The problem is he doesn't have the spike, and he doesn't have the time. As long as they don't just run in and die. Like, that's pretty much it. As long as XSET just hide here, the pistol round is theirs.
Interestingly enough, so it's usually AYRIN that plays the Killjoy. This is brand new from XSET. thwifo is over on the Killjoy. And in fact, AYRIN is going to be on the Phoenix. They run this comp, but they run... Yeah, they change it around that these players are legitimately changing the roles that they're playing. And thwifo usually plays the Breach, which isn't present in XSET's team. I mean, they took the first round on defense, that's a good look, so maybe it's a case of they're not wanting to show their hand. Maybe this is something that they've been working on throughout the week, and this is like a, well, screw it. Like, we're in, match point deficit when it comes to Cloud9. We need to pull up something. We need to surprise and have these players like Pura and AYRIN shine. This is their best opportunity to do it. So I'm excited to see how this goes, because even this change could mean that Ascent is so much better for XSET than we used to.
Yeah, this is a big change to what we see previously. But then again, with how it went, both versus Immortals and when they faced off against Gen G, they needed a big change. They were getting outplayed, they were getting out-fragged. So if there's more comfortable picks, if they feel like they can do better playing more brawly, dually agents, I'm all for it. Like, I think that could work out for them. The Phoenix pickup makes sense because you've lost a fair few flashes now that you've switched out the Breach, which has become a fairly common thing when it comes to Ascent, at least. Now, they did win the first pistol in map number 1. Let's see if they can actually convert this one. There's a bit of a fake being thrown in by Mitch, a fair amount of utility being expended to try and make them bite into this A site. However, it hasn't worked. In fact, there's been a rotation back towards B.
The map is pretty much full control for Cloud9. TenZ has made a lot of space. He's trying to get close into Brando, but the spray is pretty good. But they just stopped checking. He's looking to see if somebody's coming through the other entrance. That would be Relyks. But now it's a 2 versus 3. The site is looking to be open for business with the spike getting planted for Cloud9.
Spike planted.
But they are not in good post-plant positions. XSET have them cornered. It is a case of whether they can win these battles against a really weak TenZ and a really strong Relyks.
One enemy remaining.
Somehow this has come back into a 1v1 and TenZ! He just peeks back around the corner and rips off the head. That is ridiculous. That's a round that they never should have had. A 3v2 after plant position. TenZ was low HP when they begun that fight. And it's happened again. Ryan, it's happened again. They win the pistol. We are still in a place where they have not won 2 rounds in a row.
I don't know what to tell you. TenZ and Relyks were just in a 2v3 like that. Their backs to the walls, blooded and beaten. They still come out on top in a really scrappy affair. XSET at least wanted to play a bit more aggro. This is typically what you expect them fighting angles like this. Mitch is happy to use that utility just to scare him off a little bit. He wants to feed up his ultimate at this point. He's going to be fighting for this spot all day for the lockdown. And even just poking out. That is an insane shot from Pura, though. TenZ goes down. It's another opening for XSET at least. But the pressure's on for Cloud9, who, to be honest, at this point, have full map control, can even push mid if they want, because XSET are just bunkering onto these sites.
He's invested into the Blade Storm. Now, bear in mind, we mentioned Pura having a quieter first map. The reason that was brought up is because, well, he normally does a lot better. It's not just to even harp on him as an individual. We want to see more. We want to see him succeed, and he's had a good start to this map. Granted, losing round number 2, not ideal. But him now having the Blade Storm gives a bit more of a feel that this is possible. I think they've also managed to potentially retrieve that extra gun as well. E9, though, they're already starting to move their way towards this A site. Now, this was one of the major weaknesses we saw from XSET. They could not hold A. Even if they put 3-4 players here versus both Immortals and Gen G, they struggled. But this time, it's going very well indeed. A lovely shot off the back of the Sheriff. And now Shinobi, 15 seconds. It might just be an idea to try and hold on to the gun.
Can't even do that. thwifo. Oh man, this is so much better from XSET already. We're 3 rounds into it. And this is the tenacity, that rebellious streak, I suppose, that they're not going down without a fight. This is the team I just want to see more of. Can XSET win another round? Can they win 2 in a row? That's all I'm praying for at this point, Tom. Because this is a team that I was so excited to see. Like I mentioned before, this is the first seed with Cloud9 going up against the 16th with XSET. This is the best team in closed qualifiers versus the worst when you're looking at it on paper. But XSET are not the worst team in the teams that we have in this tournament so far. There's so much more. We just need to see it.
Well, we saw Pure R pull out the Blade Storm. And now we've got TenZ who says, I raise you another Blade Storm. So, again, I'm not going to count out any Jett on a Blade Storm in these sort of situations. Like, we know what this man can do with clinical left-click headshots from the knives. For the rest of the team, though, it's going to be a little bit more rough. You've got a classic for Relyks. The main reason you put the Blade Storm into rounds like this is because you don't really have that much to lose. TenZ has some extra cash available to him as well, so buying into the next round is going to be all too easy, but you never know. They might get a big bonus going into this one. AYRIN already down. This leaves 2 players in the back of the boathouse, and TenZ is going hunting. However, things are becoming a little bit more problematic. He's been tacked down, and Brando killing him off should make this very easy indeed. Mitch, though, has put a man into the back corner. Should know exactly where he is. That's another kill coming through, and in all honesty, 3 kills in a round like this is actually not too bad.
It keeps XSET, the economy at least, within their grasp, to some extent at least. thwifo still having 7k money, whilst everybody else is bought up. Into their next round is going to be decent at least. TenZ with the attack operator potentially. Money isn't ideal. It's not perfect for players like Relyks who have to buy half armor. TenZ just testing if his sensitivity is good after changing it for the 400th time. He seems to be wanting to want with the operator. We didn't really see it an awful lot on Bind because of the Reyna play, so now we expect him to come online in a different way that we haven't seen so far, at least today. And they have a lockdown. Really good attacking ultimate. Mitch has some really interesting places that he places it. I would expect that this would be an A hit based off where he is, but Cloud9 like to run the board, certainly as we get later into a round, Tom.
Cover going out.
Yeah, it's one of those ultimates that it does become quite difficult to counter when you're facing off against someone who basically knows exactly what they're doing. We know about the spam. We also know about the Sova roll, but unfortunately, that's not actually going to be in play for XSET in this round. We'll gain a little bit of information, but it seems like Cloud9 are more than happy to just sit with mid control. In fact, it's actually Vice just probing for information. He'll realize that the door is closed, and that allows them for actually quite a bit of space going into mid. The door's now being broken. Still the CTs, or the defenders, sorry, rotating their way around to try and work out where their opponents are currently going. It start to get a little bit worrying. And now comes that ultimate. You mentioned it. You mentioned how awkward it could make things. He's covered off the whole boathouse. That can be a mistake that some people seem to make. But more importantly, every single player of this defense is going to be forced into the backlines. And he even has a nano swarm that shuts them out for longer. Now even expended is the showstopper, which doesn't get a kill, but does do extra damage. And Vice started off as the early man pushing. He's now the lurker, trying to make things as awkward as possible for XSET in this retake. That is what you call a full-on execution. And now, realistically, is there even a chance for them in this retake? They don't have any ults available to them. It depends on whether or not they can actually clear any of these players out. And just look at the control. You have a player still in towards that B main position. You still have a player in mid as well. And I think they're just holding them for the exits. I think they're trying to do as much damage as possible, because getting back into this is now impossible.
They're not going to move. It's just a case of kill what you can, do as much damage, and they're able to do that. At least WeDid. He killed Mitch, but is traded out. It's a 4 versus 3. The spike is going to blow on the side of Cloud9, and hell of an execute. I love the lockdown play on B because they put it down. It forces these bunkered players on the B site to get out of there to go back towards their own spawn, towards CT. And all of the damage and utility from Cloud9 that was thrown from B main all the way to the back, even a showstopper thrown in. XSET were lucky to not lose anybody in those fights because of the utility thrown in there. But the site was fully under their control. The issue is, they can't do that all of the time. With the lockdown, at least, they are going to be filling up as much as they can to do things like it. But they do have a rolling thunder. thwifo wants to take that engagement against TenZ. Luckily, both are still alive, taking no damage at least. But this is a big challenge for XSET. The money is still decent. They still want to take these fights. They don't really have the ultimates. This is where they can show us what they're made of, Tom.
Again, we see this early sort of patient play from C9. Maybe expecting some sort of aggression on the other side, but instead it is more just a hold towards A. As I said, when I watched them previously in their matches versus Gen G, and I believe it was Immortals as well, that was where they struggled. With these sort of faster pickup plays that blasted their way through short towards the tree, and the pincers onto the A site was where they really struggled. So they've gambled elsewhere. They've left the Killjoy alone on B, which... Well, you have the alarm bot, some utility, which at least delays them walking down the short side. But the fact is, you are asking an awful lot
left
in this defensive position. And C9, they're just looking to rinse and repeat. They've left a bit of a fake on the other side of the map. It's going to be Mitch again, just trying to sell things. And they've realized that it is going to be a push in that direction. But here comes all of that counter utility, even throwing in the Rolling Thunder. It doesn't quite connect, but the fact is they've managed to gain enough ground that it doesn't even matter. TenZ trays out the kill. Plant goes down, and now they have to try and clear things out, but this has gone much better. This time, they've managed to get rid of Vice, who was a thorn in their side, so they can gain this overall control of the B site, or at least the areas around it. There is, however, a second lurk, but it seems like they know about it. They know exactly where Mitch is coming from, so in the meantime, they can start to push back through. But with enough damage being done, now Mitch can actually pounce, but he goes down instantly as well. Again, it's going to come down to just TenZ, the man with the operator, but he gains his 3rd kill of the round and needs an ace if he's going to hold on here. Backing around the boxes, there's the 4th.
No.
One more man standing and only 3 HP. He has 1 bullet left in the chamber to win it, and he can't quite do it, but he bought enough time. TenZ is going to win it with a 4K. WeDid goes down, and this is why this man is considered the best in the world.
That was insane. The fact that he was just backed into a corner like that and can almost ace just off of his own back. XSET took way too long to try and get that retake going. They were so scared of Mitch's lurk. It wasn't good for much, but he doesn't need to worry about it when the operator's in TenZ's hand. What a play. It's 2 in a row for Cloud9. The money is still decent for XSET. But how on earth do you play against a team that has had Relyks pop off like crazy on Bind, and now TenZ is online? What the hell are XSET going to try and do here?
Oh no, it doesn't get any better. This is the thing, there's been lots of people talking about that operator nerf. I'm sure you could just send TenZ clips to Riot, and that would be enough to convince them that the gun is absolutely fine, because this man, he makes it look very, very easy. Very, very easy indeed. And I can tell you for sure, if you don't already know, it's not. Curveball coming through, and now Relyks is back as well, as if it wasn't bad enough. The last few rounds have sort of been close, but Cloud9 looking to win one clean. And that's where things truly get scary, because if you're having a bit of a back and forth, rounds are slipping away from you, at least you're making things costly. If rounds like this start to happen, that's when I really worry, because then the finances build up for C9. They can continue to gain with the operator, and you can see it on the other side. Like, $300 is all that was left for TenZ after getting that operator in. So it's not like he was in a great position in this round. It's just now he will be.
Yeah, it's not like it was a flex pickup, really. It was a case that he could do the most damage on it. But even look at Cloud9. Relyks isn't going to try and play with a teammate in case they could trade him in case he dies. He's just going to kill them all. You know, he is that confident that he feels that he could just push and take these engagements. And this is something that we didn't see from Cloud9 before this tournament. Even the Renegades Invitational, they came third place. They didn't even get to the finals, which has pretty much been the story of this team. Now look at the way that Relyks is playing. Okay, never mind in that case, because thwifo can at least take that engagement. But generally, I mean that these guys can pretty much hit their shots and take fights off. It's so much confidence in this lineup, and it's Harlem Globetrotters in comparison to XSET.
Oh, they're going to clear them out at the end as well, as if it wasn't bad enough. They've used the Blade Storm, and that's the kicker. Because if you look at the amount of money they had, with 2 weapons being saved, of course, as said earlier, we are still in the old patch where you still get a reasonable amount of loss bonus going forward, rather than the 1,000 you get if you save. So they would have actually had enough to probably get a decent amount of weaponry on the board. Instead, well, it's not a save, but it's a bit of a sucky buy. Like, you're going to have some pieces missing, a Stinger, a Sheriff, Spectre in there too. And on the other side of things, as I said, Cloud9 kept on almost clean, so they're doing very well in terms of their finances.
Even the run it back can't find too much other than some information, which frankly at this point is useless considering the rotations coming in from Cloud9. 2 ultimates, 2 big ultimates used from XSET that can't find much other than a little bit of damage to Mitch, who's quite happy to back up. Relyks has been so good pushing B. He's doing it again. He's ready to peek around this corner into WeDid, who is watching this pixel perfect angle. Utility's going to start coming out now. Let's see how quickly XSET respond with the rotation. But these hits from Cloud9 onto the B side have been stellar, so you would expect more of the same.
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out.
They've invested a lot in this round for sure. At the moment, hasn't brought through any results, and it seems like Cloud9 have basically just decided, like, okay, B's working, let's just keep going in that direction. It doesn't matter how many players they stack up. We're also going to see the paranoia avoided by Relyks, who again begins to go in as the entry, but it's all an elaborate ruse. They even showed the spike on that side of the map, and while Relyks may have got the entries, done exactly what they needed, they're just going to waltz their way back to the A site. The fake from Cloud9, nigh on perfect, and now the remaining players, again, stuck in a bit of an awkward spot. It's a 3v4. It's not completely out of the realms of possibility, but that's the one thing we have to note for Cloud9. Even in a 1v3, they managed to do enough to hold on to the round. So, are we truly a believer in them bringing this one back? No, and unfortunately, TenZ seems to have eyes in the back of his head at this point. His duels versus Pure R almost seem unfair.
Bulldog and the Vandal are going to be saved from XSET because realistically, there isn't much damage they can do because these post plants from Cloud9 have been in really good positions. They had somebody in A main, they obviously had TenZ, Cubby in mid, 2 players on the site. They have full control over this map. Certainly watch how they default coming out of the spawn doors as we go into round number 9. You will have Relyks pushing B. Nobody's really going to fight him, and when they do, they tend to lose, as we saw a couple of rounds ago. And then Mitch is constantly putting his utility towards A. He's 1 orb away, 1 ultimate charge from having another lockdown. And all of these kind of plays and use of ultimates and utility bully XSET off some of the angles that they want to play. Just watch how passively XSET will go. Now at least they're going to put some more pressure into mid, at least with the guns that they have. But up until now, they've just sat back.
Well, yeah, I think as well, like the small piece of aggression we did see from them ultimately failed miserably, and it's happened once again. Shinobi is shadow step to behind the other box, his peek out, gets a free kill. We saw the aggression coming out earlier from Pure R, where he just gets insta-domed by the operator. TenZ even waiting in case there is something extra cheeky coming out from his opposing side, but
he's
the
waiting
fact
for the
is at this point...
He's waiting for the Blade Storm to be used and then the double updraft, which is something that, yeah, it's a cool aggressive play, but the way that XSET are playing right now, it's stuff that they would do when things are going their way and they're feeling themselves, but that hasn't really been the case. And even then, Pure is not even playing in that position. He's holding on to Cubby with...
He doesn't have a Blade Storm, but other than that...
He does on the defense.
Wait, he does. Never mind. I was looking at the wrong side. I'm an idiot. I am a fool. It's, you know, it's 11 p.m. It's not quite as late as last time, but I'm going to say that I'm tired, even though I'm just looking at the wrong side.
30 seconds
XSET are happy
left.
to play off B because they have that Killjoy utility there. It's how quickly they can go for the retake, because this is going to be straightforward from XSET. They might even able to get the lockdown out unnecessarily at this point. But Cloud9, I think, have realized just how free and open this is. No ultimates used. Going to make their way through. Spike is going to get planted. An important retake for XSET to fight for. They have the ultimates. They have these engagements. But Cloud9 also have quite a lot in their hands too. Lockdown's going to be placed.
Yeah, wanting to keep the streak of rounds going, and you can see the hunt. It's the battle of the Jets going to continue, and even just the time wasted, TenZ is going to win it with a classic. Oh, if any ego was left for Pure, it's hit rock bottom. It's hit rock bottom. He's like, oh dear, lost that battle to a classic. Well, but it didn't work, and that's been the problem. Like in the earlier rounds, their retakes were close, and there were a few like sort of clever plays that came out from C9, like leaving Vice behind in certain situations, or having the lurker of even Mitch coming back around on the flank, or in some cases just TenZ going wild. The problem is now is they're not even needing a lot of these plays. It's just been their hold have been much more solid. They've won 5 rounds in a row, and you have to bear in mind that rounds 1 and 3 were both sort of force buys as well that were won by, or the pistol and a force buy won by XSET. So other than that, we've only really seen a single sort of round where both teams have had guns. That's a real worry. And then 6 rounds on the attacking side for Cloud9, they're going to be pretty happy with that.
Going to be aiming towards going A. We haven't seen any real fast executes out onto this site, or generally at all. Brando's going to be throwing a bit of utility their way. The recon bolt isn't going to find much, but he knows that there is at least somebody there. XSET's play can be defined by that frag that AYRIN got at the end of that last round. He's just struggling to nail a headshot onto Relyks and has to reset his aim a couple of times. It's just not been going their way. That confidence that we're used to seeing isn't there. Even the confidence that Cloud9 are predicting with the way that TenZ was looking to the sky waiting for this Blade Storm play. Blade Storm's going to be used now at least. Play's more likely to come out at this point, but whether TenZ expects it now is certainly a different question, as they're going to be moving over to B, which has been the play for the majority of the time and worked the majority of the time.
Yeah, it's almost like the polar opposite to the matches we've seen previously from XSET. It seems like this map in general just hasn't been going too well for them, and a lot of the time they've been playing retake B, which it doesn't work. They have 0 successful retakes. Once the spike goes down, it seems like the round is pretty much over.
30 seconds left.
And this time, they've got the read almost spot on. Now, fair enough, Cloud9 have been doing the same thing almost every single time, but they're gonna switch it? Surely not. It's like they're watching from behind or something. They're completely in the heads of XSET. They're going to go back to the A site within the last 10 seconds. Shinobi catches up your... It's absolutely nothing done. Cloud9 are playing an absolute masterclass of faking out their opponents and having the right mid-round calls. I don't know how they're managing to do this so flawlessly, but XSET have got to feel like fools at this point.
TenZ can't at least add more doom and gloom to XSET. thwifo is going to survive to tell the tale, but who knows for how long. Even now, it's a 3 versus 3. AYRIN can get the frag onto Relyks, and most teams will be like, let's go for it, let's try and do something. But at this point, thwifo hasn't moved since TenZ almost got that kill onto him. It's crazy to sort of watch this come to be in the first game, and yeah, I mean, you can look at it like, yep, you've got the top seed versus the bottom seed. It was always going to be like this. But you would have expected more at this point, because XSET have been the upset team. They've got some really good results, even against the likes of TenZ, who did really well in this tournament. Took them to overtime on Haven. The issue is, this isn't Haven. This is actually a map that they got domed on by TenZ in that series. And 3 and 7 expected so far from Cloud9, who have been near enough unstoppable. TenZ has died 3 times. This is some Valorant. This is a team that can win first strike Valorant, I think.
Yeah, I don't even think that's really a bold call anymore with how they managed to do it in the first. Sure, it was an open qualifier and ultimately only mattered for seeding, but yeah, they're looking strong. I think a lot of credit also needs to go over to shinobi. If he is the way, like, we don't know, there might be other players chipping in for the mid-round calls, but the mid-rounds or the late-round calls that have been made in this map have been spot on pretty much every single time. Now, granted, this style only works when you have your players getting the entry frags, which they do. Oh, okay. That was pretty nice. I'll give WeDid that one. And it has at least started this round off a little bit differently, because a lot of the openers, a lot of the initial kills have been going the way of C9.
Get out of my way.
They've got to go back and pick up the spike, and shinobi's going to take a pretty nasty tags. Maybe that's it. Just shoot through dark covers. That's your way to sort of get opening kills in this round. But again, we're going to see a very, very heavy rotation coming out from both sides. So there were 4 players on A for XSET. The rotation now coming back to B from C9.
And these haven't been deep resets coming out of Cloud9 at all. They haven't pushed mid. They haven't even gone through areas like trail that much. TenZ is going to up and try and take a fight with the Killjoy on the back of the site. WeDid's there again. Got the frag to start off with the first blood. Wants to try and at least delay Cloud9, take them, give them a bit of damage. But Vice gets a kill onto WeDid that's on the back of the east side. Everybody's still here trying to cause it. He stops the plant going in. A really good round from XSET. They started off on the right foot, but it's still going into half-time with lesser maps than Cloud9. But 5-7 would be a great result for them going into half-time.
Yeah, I think if you lose 6 rounds in a row, that's all you could really ask for. It's only allowing them to get 1 more. First time that it seems like the late round call went in their direction. C9 have invested into 2 Odins. Now, there's still 10 seconds left on the clock. It's not like other games where once you buy your weapon, you're stuck with it. But I'm interested to see the plan here. We know that that wall is like paper, Ryan. So in reality, somebody might be about to get absolutely wrecked. However, TenZ has just gone rushing in. He's gone all the way through to the spawn. The rest of his team is still trying to go for the push, and eventually Pure R will pick off TenZ. There comes the first Odin for Mitch, which will grant them the site. And this is the change of pace I don't think the XSET saw coming. It's been those late round rotations. It's been the switch ups. This time, just run and gun.
Joke's over.
Running back is going to be used on the defense as WeDid gets an extra. It's now 4 versus 3. The ultimate doesn't really find too much other than where Vice is placed. And even the nano swarm and shots can only do a little bit of damage to him. But Nan is still sitting pretty on this side. WeDid's got the spray, got the right idea, but can't kill onto Vice. Just a couple more shots would have done damage, but Mitch, that's his second with the Odin at least. And in the spray, he gets a third. WeDid goes down. He's getting a 4th. He can ace with this gun. It's just Brando left. This was a round that you would think the XSET could get. He's got the Odin ace. That is disgusting, Mitch. 8-4 to Cloud9.
Switching sides.
Oh, no. You almost feel like that round was them having a little bit of fun. I'm sure that's going to make it into the highlight package as well. And it seems like C9 pretty much have all of the highlights in the highlight package. But here we go. Thank you, GoPuff, for bringing this one through. This was filth from TenZ. That was before he even got the operator in hand. I'd actually forgotten about that clutch at the beginning of the game because there was so many ridiculous rounds coming out from the Cloud9 players, which I guess you can somewhat take as a positive for XSET, that they did manage to make a lot of these rounds competitive. The problem being, though, that it's a terrifying prospect, and this was probably my favorite of the lot from TenZ. He didn't even manage to get the ace in the end, but just holding onto the site. And of course, Mitch going in towards the end. It was so good we couldn't even show it. You'll have to, I imagine, check that one out on Twitter or something later. Yeah, it was dirty. He owed an ace. Like, we can't show that on stream. We'll get banned.
GoPuff, it's effectively delivering a 24-inch pizza that's called the Beast when it comes to that kind of play. Just greasy, horrible. Yeah. What else would it be?
No idea.
4 and 8, XSET are going to be attacking now. They are breaking through at least to the side, but Mitch has a nice little off angle. The frenzy's good for one, but unfortunately WeDid's there to lurk. He has the spike, but the site is pretty much in control. TenZ is at least able to do some damage. It's a messy, scrappy fight for both sides, but it's Cloud9 that's coming out on top. Brando bringing it down to a 1 versus 2, 74 HP. Probably find some of these icons. And he can get TenZ, but C9 have been doing some busy work with these frenzies. The Ghost is upgraded. Yet again, XSET looking good on the pistol round going into it, but they just can't seem to push it over the edge. Cloud9 take it and are going to be buying up for round number 15.
Yeah, I guess this is more of the classic TenZ performance we were expecting. Like, if you look at the scoreboard and you remove TenZ from it, this looks like a very even game. Like 9-9, 8-7, 6-7, 6-5. Like, yeah, fair enough. They're fairly even on the scoreboard, and then you just got one guy at the top, quite far ahead of everybody else. And that's it. That's why he's considered one of, if not the best player in the world. He's gonna pull out an Ares. And see you later. It's always pure R as well. I feel like that he actually embodies that sort of classic line of like, I'm gonna kill off the imposter. Like, nah. There's only room for one Jett in this server, and it's gonna be me.
It's like some alpha male kind of stuff going on, and TenZ just, he's not going to allow it. Relyks has a nice little off angle. That utility can easily clear him and he can be punished, but you still fancy these kind of engagements for him at least. And XSET pretty much putting all 4 of their eggs into the same basket, which is B. But look, Cloud9 have so much control over the map. They know it's coming. Or maybe not, because TenZ is just going to have an updraft peek onto mid, an area that, to be honest, neither team has really touched when it comes to aggressive play. Relyks just gets ran over. 2 players know he's there, and they burst on through. But look at this damage coming in from Cloud9. 1 versus 3. WeDid's going to get the plant in. He only has a classic.
Yeah, he would have needed a miracle to win that one, but hey, a couple of kills, a spike plant as well, which will bring home a little bit of extra money. It's not the end of the world. It's in isolation, not a bad round at all from XSET. Unfortunately, after the first half and losing the second half still, you're 3 rounds away from losing and going into that sort of quote-unquote lower bracket map within the group. So it's a pretty horrible situation. Obviously, the other games as well, it's not like they're easy matches either. Like, we're looking at 100 Thieves and Luminosity going on at the same time. So realistically, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, the issue that I was going to mention is that 100 Thieves are pretty much dominating Luminosity in a similar way. You could check out that game at Nerd Street Gamers 2.
Get out of my way.
It's pretty dominant. So Cloud9,
wow.
It's 100 Thieves is going to be a hell of a game. But it's still an opportunity for XSET, to be honest, because I think out of those 2 teams, TenZ, that's what he was expected to come out of Pura before. And he just shows them how it's done. This is just an absolute masterclass in their roles. Awesome play from him. But XSET aren't out of this tournament if they lose. They would play up against Luminosity if things are going the way that they look to be. And that's a match that they can win.
I think that's almost confirmed. Like, they won the first map, the second map is 11-2. If they bring that back, I'll eat my words. But yeah, I think that might already be confirmed.
If it happens, eat a sock, is all I'm saying.
Only if it's one of yours. Either way, it is going to be 10-4. The opening pick has gone the way of Cloud9. Now, this is a situation where they're in a bit of a bonus. That's why we've seen the Blade Storm popped for TenZ. And although he has his trusty Ares to boot, it's a round that realistically XSET should and have to win. and they're throwing out a lot of counter utility. This is making things very awkward for the main. Push up to the side. How many bullets is he going to spam? I don't even know, but it doesn't matter. He gets the kill with the blade storm, and they didn't spot Mitch. He's still in the site. This man was there from the very beginning. He's actually looped back round behind them and got back through in towards their spawn. This round is nigh on over. AYRIN needs a miracle burst. Second kill, but he can't quite get anything more. It is an 11th for Cloud9, and that was manic.
Watch that back and look at the minimap, because Mitch pushes through the smoke looking for people. And he finds nobody, but everybody in that smoke also pushed through, past him. Like 2 ships in the night, in a smoke. I don't get how that worked. I don't know how Mitch found nobody. But that was probably more confusing for him than anybody else at this point. This could be it for XSET. This is their big buy. And if they lose this, they're going to have no money for Cloud9's match point. They have a Hunter's Fury, they have a lockdown, 2 big ultimates that can turn around. But all of the ultimates that we've seen so far out of XSET haven't had that much impact. Pretty much been the case across all of their Ascent games as well, when you look at how they play to get up against Gen G and Immortals. We're not seeing XSET today. The potential is, of course, still there, but Cloud9 are just not letting it flourish in this game.
You should run.
I think as well in some of the earlier stages, things definitely looked a little bit more cagey for them than normal. She's still going to try and get their push in towards this site. AYRIN, he's going to start things off with the opener. However, there's already been a trade back. Shinobi with 1 more, leaving things into a 3v2 situation. Still in favor of the attackers. And now it is left all onto Shinobi. He's going to try and just tap this plant, bait them in, but the curveball leaves him completely blind. XSET at least bounced back, giving them a small footing in this game. But bear in mind, well, I was going to say there's still money, but there actually isn't that much money left for C9. This one, if they do purchase, it's going to be a bit of an awkward one.
Pretty much the same as Bind, right? At halftime, Cloud9 won 3 rounds in a row. And that was the opening for XSET. But then Cloud9 won the map following, the round even, sorry. Even on a half buy on a force. And it was a much better round for XSET. The issue is the reason why it packed so much of a punch onto that B execute, they used the Hunter's Fury, they used Run It Back, they used Lockdown. All 3 of those ultimates in one go to take the site. And even then, it came down to a 1 versus 2 at the end for Cloud9. Still able to do some damage. They have a lockdown on their own. He'll be playing towards A's Mitch with all of his utility towards the A site. And XSET maybe wanted to hit B as fast as possible, catch up these pushes, but Cloud9 are going to be trying to contest, and the paranoia comes through. And I think Pure is expecting this kind of play.
Well, it may not matter too much. Although they do have a player in the back corner, but it seems like they know, and that's going to be another player killed off. Not again. This is something we saw so many times in the last map, and I don't know how TenZ is still alive. Finally, AYRIN is there to put him down. The question is the damage already done? Vice has picked off another. This isn't even an investment round. And now Brando,
I have the spike.
1v2. Potentially to even keep them in this map, because I think if C9 hit 12, we can pretty much write this one off as a loss. A minute left on the clock, but only 45 HP. And I like this from C9. They're just going to group up together. The remaining 2 players going to try and hold this one down, not give anything away. Try to push this one at the same time, and Vice gets the instant headshot. 12-5. I think we can pretty much call this one GG.
Match point.
That's just a heartbreaking round to lose for XSET. I've only been able to string multiple rounds together once through the whole series. This is... people said that this could be a blowout. And I was like, no, I expect more from XSET. I'm severely disappointed with this team because I know that they can do more. I keep mentioning it because the level of these tier 2 teams, and XSET's, you know, teetering onto tier 1 in some cases. But even just showing on a big opportunity like this, what they can provide would have been huge. At least they can take this knowledge into the losers bracket game. It's not done yet, but with the money, the ultimates, the ability of Cloud9 so far, it's going to be so tricky to try and do this. And the XSET that we should expect to see, the big team in this tournament, has been put out of its misery time and time again by Cloud9 just dominating this match.
Shadows traveling.
Interesting little point. We've actually seen the doors, the shutters, broken a little bit early. So when they go for the take into this site, even if they get the openers, they can't shut the door. It's not there anymore.
Dedicate to smoke.
And there's actually
too.
going to be, yeah, there's 3 players stacked up here for C9. Utility will start to reign over, but there's counters available. And in fact, just the initial presence shown by C9 is enough to force them away.
It's not like they wouldn't have done this before anyway. This has just been their typical default. Put a bit of pressure in, and
Oh, okay.
Relyks actually boils under the pressure a little
30
bit.
seconds left.
Wanted to look for a play at least. And he gets caught out. That's actually kind of smart, but Shinobi's at least good for a couple before he's taken down with a Phantom.
Do they know? Oh, they
They
do.
do.
They
Spike is going to get planted. It's good though. It's
This
good
was
stuff.
looking like it was set up.
Can't really
Spike
predict that
planted.
play though from Relyks using his ultimate and trying to force a play out of it. Lockdown is still available for Mitch. Could put it on this high ground. There's a lot of cheeky little spots that you can plant it where it can't really be wall banged. It's going to force these players off the site. Maybe XSET are just going to try and regroup, take some space in other places, but this has gone the way to Cloud9 1. Even using some utility. Brando is going to be hit. He's going to actually be detained. That was needless on the side of Brando. The opening's going to come in now. Vice is going to use some utility. Knows that there's 2 players there. The paranoia's going to be good. But why not just dedicate to the defuse? They lined up! And Cloud9 take this 2-0. A dominant side from them. XSET, a team that are fairly new, fairly inexperienced when it comes to these kind of plays, and still have a lot to prove. Go out in pretty disappointing fashion.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a match that they're going to want to try and forget. And for C9, hey, they looked very impressive. Like bringing back rounds that they never really should have been. So, yeah, definitely a bit of a problem. Luckily, we have another beautiful